One night in Paris, Driss is driving his employer Felipe through the city. When he gets bored waiting in traffic, he begins driving fast and passing other cars dangerously. The police take notice and starts going after them. Driss bets $100 that he can escape, but the cops catch up and ambush them from both sides. Driss, instead of getting nervous, bets $200 that he can get them an escort. The cops point their guns at him and order him to exit the car. He complies, but he starts yelling. When they order Felipe to exit the car, Driss tells them that he can't walk and the reason he was going so fast is because he is taking him to the hospital. The cops believe him when they find a wheelchair on the trunk of the car and they see Felipe convulsing. The cops apologize to Driss and tell him that they are going to escort him to the hospital. Driss enters the car and celebrates his victory by playing music. When they reach the hospital, he tells the cops he will handle it, but he floors it moments before the medical staff arrive. This friendship begun months ago. Felipe and his assistant Magali are interviewing candidates for the position of Felipe's caregiver, but everyone they meet is boring and awkward. This changes when Driss storms in the room and asks them to sign papers saying they won't hire him so he can get his unemployment check. He is rude and even hits on Magali multiple times, but Felipe takes an interest in him and tells him to come back the next day so he can get his check. Driss returns to his home in a low-class neighborhood. He tries to bath, but his siblings bother him by entering the room. While smoking and waiting for his mom, he looks out the window and sees his little brother, Adama, getting out of a mysterious car. When Adama enters the house, he says he was at school. He grabs his backpack and immediately leaves. After his mom arrives, he gives her a Faberge egg he stole and tells her he has been on vacation. However, Shen is mad because he was gone for 6 months and he doesn't show her respect. So she kicks him out of the house and tells him to not come back. The next day, Driss goes to Felipe's house to pick up his papers and he is received by the housekeeper Yvonne, who gives him a tour of the place and talks to him about Felipe's daily routine. She also shows him a room that she calls his, that has its own high-class bathroom. When he reaches Felipe, he tells him that he has signed the papers, but he wants him to come work for him, betting that Driss wouldn't last 1 month. Driss accepts the challenge. In the following day, Driss is taught how to take care of Felipe. He must learn how to stimulate his legs, how to put him in the wheelchair, how to help him shower and change his clothes. Driss freaks out when he learns that he must put on him stockings and clean his butt, but in the end he has no choice. At night, he is smoking a cigar in the roof and catches Felipe's daughter Elisa making out with her boyfriend Bastian, and he kicks them out after Elisa asks him for a beer. Driss learns the job quickly, but he still makes some mistakes, like handing Felipe's phone to him instead of holding it on his ear and not listening to the baby monitor because he is wearing headphones while having a bath. Felipe teaches him how to organize his letters but forbids him to open a series of letters that Driss has to put on the private folder. Driss finds an advertisement for female escorts and laughingly creates a new folder just for letters like this. Driss's new life is a lot of work, but he still manages to have fun. He regularly calls escorts over and has fun in his room. He also keeps on trying to hit on Magali, and one morning he asks her to join him on his luxurious bathtub. She quickly agrees but runs away laughing the moment Driss starts getting undressed. Driss's work day is to drive Felipe around in a van. However, he refuses to put him in the back as if he was cargo and instead puts him on the passenger seat of a fancy car. Felipe, who at first wasn't keen of the idea, loves it when Driss drifts the moment he starts the car. When they try to leave the building, they find one of Felipe's neighbors parked in front of the entrance. Driss doesn't hesitate, and using violence he pulls him out of his car and makes him read the sign that says no parking. Felipe is impressed by this. The pair visit a museum and Felipe buys a painting worth $41,500. Driss is breathtaken and says that he himself could paint it. Immediately after, Felipe meets his lawyer, who tells him to not trust Driss because he has a history of stealing. Felipe, however, doesn't care, as Driss is the only one who treats him like a human and doesn't pity him. Driss is having dinner with Yvonne while listening to Felipe dictate a letter to Magali through the baby monitor. Yvonne tells him that the letter is for a woman called Eleanor that Felipe has never met in person. Driss goes to sleep but hears Felipe breathing heavily and goes to check up on him. He helps him relax and eventually fall asleep by putting a wet cloth on him. Minutes later though, Felipe wakes up with the same problem, so Driss takes him for a stroll in the city to help him get some fresh air. Felipe says this is the first time he is seeing Paris by night in a long time and this is very relaxing. The two begin talking and the conversation turns to them discussing women after they see a pair of them entering a car. Felipe admits that he can't have sex but he can still get pleasure through the ears because they are sensitive zones. Felipe's pain almost appears again but Driss calms him by giving him a joint. The pair go to a restaurant where they talk for hours and Felipe talks more about his life. He was married with his wife for 25 years. She had 5 miscarriages, so they decided to adopt Elisa. Later on though, she was diagnosed with a terminal illness and passed away. Felipe also says that he likes being competitive and loves extreme sports. He reveals that he got crippled during a paragliding accident. After joking around some more, Felipe remembers that Driss has passed the 1-month challenge, so he is now officially hired. Driss likes that, but Felipe tells him that he needs to start by bringing back the Faberge egg he stole. Driss goes back to his home and meets with his sister, who is angry at him because he hasn't been answering her messages and has called her only to ask for the egg. He also learns that police have been calling his home. Later on, he meets Adama, who confesses that he was found with 30 grams of drugs. Driss wants to continue talking to Adama, but he leaves and gets inside the mysterious black car from before. Hours later, Driss is back to Felipe's house and is given permission to be present when Felipe dictates his next message for Eleanor. He thinks that this form of communication is boring and that Felipe should be more direct. He also cringes when he hears that Felipe has been doing this for 6 months without ever asking Eleanor to meet him in person. He finds Eleanor's number in a letter, calls her and makes Felipe talk to her. Felipe is awkward at first, but the conversation goes well, so he is now on the phone with her all the time. Afterward, Driss is painting on his room and Elisa bursts in to ask for cigarettes. She laughs at him for trying to be artistic, so he kicks her out. Driss goes to see Felipe, who after Driss's encouragement is sending a picture of his to Eleanor. Driss is angry about Elisa's behavior and urges Felipe to discipline her. Felipe agrees but is mostly amused by the fact that Driss had been painting. Days pass and the friendship of the two becomes stronger. Driss even takes Felipe to play on the snow and they go on a run together. Felipe gets Driss his first suit and teaches Elisa some manners while Driss is listening through the monitor. When Driss finishes his painting, he shows it to Magali, who likes it but slaps him on the face after he tries to kiss her. Felipe likes the painting and says that he will try to sell it. The two friends continue having fun together by driving fast cars, smoking weed and hiring escorts. Felipe's birthday comes, an event that he is not thrilled about because it is always a boring meetup between relatives where everyone treats him with pity. During the family get-together, Driss hears Elisa crying in her room. He goes inside to see if she is okay and finds out that she has taken Avanza's pills. Driss laughs as these pills will not even come close to killing her as she intended. She tells him that she is sad because Bastian broke up with her and called her a slut. Driss agrees to talk to the boy, but for a price. At the same time, Felipe is convincing a relative of his to buy Driss's painting for $11,000. Driss returns to the living room and learns from Yvonne that Magali is seeing someone named Fred, but the relationship isn't going well, something that Driss is happy about. Afterward, Felipe makes Driss listen to classical music that Driss finds incredibly boring. Driss's boredom makes both of them laugh. When the music is over, Driss puts on his own music and confidently starts dancing alone, which causes everyone else to join him on the floor. This brings a smile to Felipe's face. Later in the night, Driss gives Felipe his gift, which is a picture that Eleanor sent which shows that she is pretty, and a letter she sent that asks him to meet next week. When the day comes, Felipe gets dressed after trying numerous outfits and gives Driss a day off as Yvonne will take him to the restaurant. Driss uses this time to talk to Bastian and scares him until the boy agrees to bring croissants to Elisa every day. Driss also asks him to change his hair so he doesn't look like Justin Bieber. At the restaurant, Yvonne and Felipe are waiting for Eleanor. Felipe decides to leave because they have been waiting for an hour and walk out the door without noticing Eleanor walking in at the same time. Felipe calls Driss and takes him with him to the countryside with his private jet. Driss is freaked out by the plane but gets a lot happier when Felipe reveals that he has sold his painting for $11,000. The next morning, Felipe makes Driss paraglide with him. Driss is scared in the beginning but immediately loves it. When they return to Paris, Adama is waiting for Driss in Felipe's house and gets scolded for having a scar on his face. Adama though will not tell Driss how he got it, so he makes him wait for him in his room while he puts Felipe to sleep. Felipe isn't sleepy and asks Driss about his family. Driss is reluctant, but in the end he tells Felipe that Adama is not his actual brother. His mom is actually his aunt who adopted him from his parents in Senegal because she couldn't have children of her own, and his real name is Bakary Vazari, but because other kids had that name they called him Idris, which became Driss. As Driss had pointed out to Felipe before, Felipe now points out to Driss that Adama needs discipline and tells him to go be with his family and that he can't take care of a cripple for the rest of his life. The next day Driss gets ready to leave and Magali comes to say goodbye. Driss tries to hit on her, but she introduces him to her girlfriend Fred, which is short for Frederick. Turns out Magali isn't interested in men. Magali says that she wouldn't say no to a threesome, but turns out that she is once again messing with him. On his way out he finds a car blocking the entrance again and scolds the driver out of principle even if he doesn't work there anymore. Later on, the two brothers pick up their mother and have dinner together. At the same time Felipe is having dinner in his house with his new caretaker who is very formal and boring. Felipe leaves the table without having a single bite. As time passes Driss goes out again with his old friends and tells the driver of the black car to stop bothering his brother. Later on he goes to a job interview, and even though he lacks any actual qualifications he manages to land the job by flexing his art and classical music knowledge to the interviewer and gets the position of driver. Felipe continues hating and not wanting to come close with his new caretaker, and one night he refuses his help when he is experiencing pain. This makes Ivan call Driss and ask him to come over and help. The story completes a full circle when we learn that this is how Driss and Felipe found themselves in the situation from the beginning. After leaving the hospital Driss drives Felipe to the coast and the sight of the sea helps him relax. A bit later Driss shaves Felipe's beard and takes him to a restaurant but doesn't stay for long as he says Felipe will have company. Felipe gets nervous after he sees his friend leave behind his Faberge egg. However, he gets delighted when he sees that Eleanor is his date and she doesn't mind the chair at all. The real Count Philippe Pozo de Borgo now lives in Morocco. He has remarried and has 2 daughters. The real Driss is called Abdul Yasmin Seller. He has his own firm and is also married with 3 children. The 2 men continue to be very close friends to this day. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.